After teaching English for many years, studying language fluency and observing the methods that my students were using to achieve fluency, I took some random notes over the years which I would like to share here. By reading and reading and reading, you come across the most common words in the language again and again and again in a natural way. There is no need for spaced repetition systems. So you reinforce their meaning every time you see them again, and the meanings get different shades of meaning every time they are used in a new context. Also, by reading, you sound out the pronunciation in your mind, provided that you have done some listening and have a sense of the general pronunciation rules. And you slowly start to develop the natural language patterns of grammar in your mind without studying formal grammar books. You also get a chance to build relevant vocabulary by going off in different topic directions that have interest for you. E.g., reading a bunch of articles about technology, business, travel, etc. You also connect the vocabulary to images in your mind at a certain fluency point. It's the natural way that the mind acquires a language. And you can't do the frenzied skimming over the language when reading. You need to enjoy it and appreciate every word. Live and relax with English material just like you do in your first language. Follow the same passions that you have in your first language, but just search for English material about topics that you are passionate about or topics that are entertaining for you. Boring academic material will kill your motivation for learning English. Consume great content, and you'll know when you're more fluent when you stop pausing in the videos so much and when you start going through articles quickly without translating so much. It's actually good that students do a lot of extensive reading in English because it puts the mind in a momentum where the mind starts to think in the language naturally, especially when students vocalize the language internally. When you're reading, each word should trigger an image in your mind, and all the words together as paragraphs or the full article, etc. should paint a picture of the whole story. It's just like flashcards really, but it's natural, because you will keep getting exposed to the most common words in the language by reading more and more material, and that is a more natural spaced repetition technique. And the faster that you read through material, the more vocabulary you are reviewing again and again. The exact same thing can be said for listening. English learners need to forget about the fact that they are learning about English, grammar rules, grammar terminology, etc., and rather focus on the fact that they are learning about culture, technology, history, business, stories, facts, life through the English language. When they study English, they should become obsessed with gaining knowledge about the world through English. The obsession should be about the topics, just in English, and English fluency will result as a secondary effect. Chase the most interesting topics that you find interesting as a human being, ones that you are genuinely interested in, your topics, and then just have conversations about these topics with your teacher, friends, etc. When you study all of these topics, the language goes in. When you discuss these topics, the language comes out. There's a superficial level of language, i.e. form, structure, grammar, pronunciation, etc. However, behind that exists culture and topic, etc. My discussion lessons aim to reach that deeper level with students while still paying attention to form. The lesson should be culturally educational in that way. Building up your vocabulary is key to becoming fluent in a language. Stephen Krashen argues that compelling, comprehensible, i.e. at the appropriate level, input is the real key to literacy. If students are given material which is fascinating, entertaining, compelling, etc., they will learn English. That means comic books, good storybooks for kids. That means technology magazines, business articles, culture articles, fiction books for adults, etc. Self-selected reading is also a lot better than assigned reading. Think about it. If someone gives you a book as a present, for some reason you never want to read it. But when you choose it yourself from a selection, you feel like it's yours. You enter into a flow state much easier and take in all the information. Flashcards seem weird. There's just no context with them. It feels like individual memorizing. They seem like drills. The key to learning English is to read interesting English material as much as possible, so that you come across many words again and again, using as much of your imagination as possible to imagine the story. A key when reading a text is to read and read and read until you get to a deeper message of what the text is trying to say, and then listen over and over again until you get to the deeper meaning of what it is trying to say. If you love comedy, you should try and find comedians in a language that you want to learn. Find transcripts of their shows, etc. Or just find any interesting content related to what you really love and develop your language by consuming it that way. A good thing to do is to read articles over and over again about 2 or 3 times, because all of the new vocabulary that you have read will be reinforced when you read the vocabulary again. Learning languages is more about time than anything else. Time spent with the language. That seems to be the key factor. You should have the mindset that you're just reading to find out and expand your knowledge about topics through the second language, English. Get to the topic and just read for the interesting information, just the same way that you read for the topic in your first language.